Classy women recognize that emotional resilience, the ability to fail and pick yourself back up, is just... Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you're here. For all those women who have commented on my previous videos, who have left me feedback, who have engaged with me, I am just awestruck because this was the vision that I had for my YouTube channel, to make some friends in you and to really talk about some of these more serious, some of these more lighthearted, and some of these topics that not many people are talking about today. If you sent me some well wishes and prayers about my mother, I would absolutely love if you ever have somebody that you need me to pray for, that you let me know, because I am here for you. If you are new to my channel, I would absolutely love it. I know I keep saying absolutely, but if you would subscribe, if you would like my video, if you would leave me a comment to let me know that you are here, it means so much to me. On my channel, we talk about femininity, we talk about homemaking, we talk about being a high-value woman, we talk about some etiquette, and we also talk about some more lighthearted topics surrounding style, beauty, and vlogs. Today, we are going to touch on a perhaps more lighthearted topic, and we are going to talk about being a classy woman, some of the character traits of classy women. I just wanted to put a disclaimer out there and let you know that this is not a comprehensive list, so there are some things that might be more important to you, some things that you think are more important character traits to have if you are a classy woman, and that is why I encourage you to leave me a comment and let me know what is important for you. I am not a perfect person, and I'm continuously developing in trying to strive to be a better woman. The tips and the things that I talk about on my channel are either things that I feel confident enough to talk to you about because I've struggled with in the past, or are things that I'm continuously working for in my daily life. Being a classy woman is especially conducive to being a feminine woman because being classy appeals to perhaps etiquette and good manners, which is a form of respect in a type of way of thinking how the other people feel in your presence. Caring about our relationships with others and our interactions with others is a quality of feminine women, a quality of femininity. So classiness and femininity tend to go hand in hand. The benefit of trying to be a classy feminine woman is that you're always going to perhaps look slightly more wealthy, always carry yourself in a dignified way that tends to communicate to others that you are of a higher social status, even if you may not be. We don't always strive to portray ourselves as wealthy women, but this is just an example to show you about how being classy can really elevate your presence. The first character trait that I want to talk about deals with generosity. So the classy woman tends to know that her gifts, her talents, and her resources, whether that be financial or in any source, doesn't just come from herself. These things come from God or the universe. The classy woman carves out time for her family and friends. The classy woman donates to others in need when possible. The classy woman stretches her resources to be able to share with her family, but also strangers. The classy homemaker has so many opportunities to do this in her community, whether it be through volunteering, whether it be from sharing some baked goods with her neighbor, walking your dog, and taking the time to recognize that those elderly people who are tending to their garden outside need some interaction and they feel often alone. The classy woman is also able to recognize that she needs to be generous with herself. So I talked in one of my previous videos about doing 3 small things every day for yourself to recharge your internal giving battery. Being a feminine woman calls you to care for others and to be receptive to the emotional needs of others. You can be generous with your attentiveness to others and their needs, but you must first be generous to yourself. I also want you to realize that classy women are generously discreet. So what does that mean? Being discreet in your generosity is being able to do something for someone without asking for something in return. Being discreet in your generosity perhaps means slipping into the mailbox that, I don't know, $50 bill for that family that you know is struggling to pay their grocery budget. They will probably know that it was you who did that. But the classy woman doesn't need praise from outside resources. The classy woman strives to be generous out of the goodness of her own heart. This is so difficult because it is our nature to want some praise or recognition, or look at me, I did this great thing. But I really encourage you to try to reevaluate the way that you view generosity. If you are a believer, this is especially easy by looking at scripture and recognizing the way that Jesus and God calls us to be selflessly generous. If you have some tips on this, I would absolutely love if you could leave a comment down below. The second characteristic of classy women is that the classy woman is well-mannered. So on this channel, we are going to sprinkle in a little bit of etiquette seasonally. If you missed my summer etiquette video, I'm going to link it above and down below. And I'm so excited for the fall etiquette video because I think it will be so useful for all of you. Being well-mannered is a form of respect for other people. It is a form of telling the other person, I care about how comfortable you feel in my presence, which is a very feminine thing to do because we want to create comfort to allow for emotional connections with the people in our lives. There's this misconception, or perhaps I should rephrase that, there is this issue that people believe that women say thank you too often, and I respectfully disagree, or women say sorry too often. Just because women say sorry or thank you or excuse me more often than men doesn't mean that men should be exempt from using that same vocabulary or carrying themselves in the same way. You should not try to refrain yourself from saying sorry or excusing yourself just because a man does not do so that often. These are two separate issues. I think that being able to say excuse me, sorry, thank you, and perhaps using your language to be respectful of the feelings of others and the way that you demonstrate your point is a sign of respect and being well-mannered. On the topic of language, this is my third point. Classy women tend to use appropriate language for the current situation. There are so many YouTubers out there talking about feminine language and using language and femininity, and I encourage you to go and watch those videos. My point is brief. I think that you should use language to communicate your emotions in a respectful manner. You should avoid from swearing. Perhaps you can do so in the comfort of your own home or in your mind, but try to use that 2-second filter before you respond in any type of social situation. I don't mean in a way that is awkward silence, but 2 seconds really is going to help you reframe your thoughts. I actually was trained to do this when I competed in pageants, and I trained other women to do this as well. When you are asked a question, wait 2 seconds before you respond. I encourage you to watch my video on good conversation. It is a little bit slower, and it was one of my first videos, but the points in it I think are still applicable if you can get over that newbie type of communication in the video. I will link it up here and down below. The next characteristic that I believe all classy women should possess is the ability to accept constructive criticism. First, you need to recognize the difference between constructive criticism and an insult. Constructive criticism talks about the situation, and an insult talks about your character. Let me give you a super simplistic example. Someone could tell you, I don't believe that you drinking milk is good for your health for such and such reasons. I think you should reconsider your thoughts on the dairy industry. Versus somebody attacking your character. You are so dumb for thinking that drinking milk is good for your health. Don't you know better that drinking milk is such and such reason? I do not believe that as a classy woman, we should entertain insults to our character. There are a few comments that have been on this channel that have been constructive criticism, and I appreciate them, and I have always interacted with those people. However, there have been a few comments that are degrading to my character. I believe that it is human nature to want to engage in that conversation, to want to tell that person all the ways that they are wrong and that we aren't the type of person that they portray us to be. However, classy women are able to take a moment and realize that doing so is usually 99% not effective in changing that person's mind. I've realized that there are exceptions. However, most of the time, people who go out of their way to attack your character are not going to change their opinion, and they are people who live their life in a type of fighting mode, a type of negative energy that they do not want to accept when they may be wrong. Classy women can also provide constructive criticism, and I believe that generally you shouldn't say something unless the person has asked for it or the person has opened the floor to constructive criticism. When reacting to constructive criticism, I encourage you to ask for feedback on how, if that person hasn't described it, how you can improve, specific examples of what you could have done better or how you will be able to do so in the future. For example, that person who is offering you the constructive criticism about milk, you could ask them, could you be more specific on how I can incorporate less milk into my everyday diet? Or perhaps ask them for more details backing their opinion. What is it exactly that you disapprove of the dairy industry? Could you provide me with those resources? I am open to learning new information. When providing constructive criticism, make sure that you are offering that person value, such as I just told you to ask. So offer them specific examples of ways that they can improve. Appealing back to the concept of being able to accept constructive criticism and our natural tendency to respond negatively, a classy woman manages her emotions and her anger. Learn what your yellow zone is. Learn what your triggers are. For me, if I get irritated, I know right away that I am in my yellow zone because my face becomes flushed and I get a little bit shaky. So in that instance, I know that I need to walk away from the situation. If I am in a dispute with anybody, I excuse myself by going to the bathroom or finding any immediate distraction to remove myself from the situation so that I can calm down and reassess what that person is trying to tell me. There are so many examples of your yellow zone, whatever it could be. That is up to you to find out what it is and know that you need to manage that with some sort of immediate response that cools you down before you proceed into anger. The next characteristic of a classy woman is her ability to recognize her flaws. Just like I stated at the beginning of the video, and I continue to state, I am not a perfect person. You are not a perfect person, but we can help each other become better people. Recognizing your flaws is not something that is very glorified in our modern culture, but being able to grasp the fact that you are not perfect is a perfect way to finish that sentence by saying, I am not perfect, but I have the ability to be better. Every failure that you have in your life should be taken as a lesson from the universe, from God, whatever you believe in, and should be looked at as an opportunity to better yourself. Classy women recognize that emotional resilience, the ability to fail and pick yourself back up, is just a part of life, and that these form the basis of the stories that characterize us as a person. I know this has become a rather long video, but the next point that I want to touch on is the importance of community over competition. As human beings, it is our biological nature to some extent to be competitive in order to survive. But you need to recognize as a classy woman that you are not in the jungle anymore and you don't need to fight for your mate or your existence. There are of course situations where you do need to compete for the sake of your children and your financial well-being. But in general, it is more beneficial to collaborate with others to form community rather than competing with them. Classy women recognize that going to the top alone is something that is not very prevalent. We see pictures of people going to the top alone, but the truth is that they often have a community of people supporting them, a community of people that they have worked together. This can be especially important in our movement as feminine women who value homemaking. It is known throughout history that the way to destroy a movement is by creating subcategories or pitting people against each other in that movement. We don't have to be on the same page of every single issue, but if we are supporting and we are common in our goals, that doesn't necessarily have to do with our movement on this channel, but with anything. I believe that the classy woman can recognize that bonding with those people and supporting each other for the sake of a cause or a movement is much more important than forming perhaps little clans that will never be strong against said opposition or enemy. The last point that I'm going to bring up, and I could talk on and on about this, I have so many other points, that's why I encourage you to leave a comment so we can continue to chat, is that classy women value personal branding over style trends. Now, I believe that it is so fun to look at those style trends that come out each season and decide what you like or what you don't like. However, the classy woman recognizes that imitating somebody out there is not going to help her feel comfortable in her own body. I made a video on feminine dressing that I would encourage you to go check out, because a large majority of us will find our personal style, our personal branding in femininity due to wanting to exude this energy. And if you are on this channel, you probably were drawn here because of one of these topics, such as femininity. However, just because you don't want to wear a ruffle sleeve like I suggested in my previous video, doesn't mean that you are less feminine. You need to try to discover your own personal style amidst feminine style. We all have different lifestyles. You might have a more active lifestyle, and you need stretchy clothing. The ultimate goal of being a feminine, classy woman is feeling comfortable in who you are. You cannot do that if you do not feel comfortable in your body. So I would suggest sacrificing a little bit of that traditional feminine style for that type of personal style that appeals more to you at the benefit of exuding more feminine energy. Because let's face it, if you don't feel comfortable in a high-waisted, poofed out skirt, you are not going to be able to exude your feminine energy. I also encourage many of you to define what modesty means for you in your dressing. For me, this means being able to have someone take a picture of me at all angles. I would not want somebody to do that, but that's what it means to me. For you, that might mean that you need to wear something a little bit longer or cover your shoulders. Modesty is a great tool for also feeling comfortable in your body. It is one of the easiest rules for you to define your limits in terms of your dressing in order for you to move freely in your clothing. If you made it this far in the video, I wanted to thank you because you watched the whole thing, which means a lot to me. Don't forget to hit that like button because it helps other women find our channel. I'm hoping that the sound quality and the video quality was a little bit better. I'm still working on those things. I have a 2-part camera, so that's why I had some of you saying that I look to the side. And I got your message, I understand, and I am working on it, so I hope that it is better for you. Once again, you all know that I am here for you. Leave me your comments at any time. Leave me your recommendations for videos. I have definitely written them all down, so I have not forgotten. It just takes me a while to plan all of this content over the next few weeks. I look forward to our video on Monday. I post every Monday and Thursday at noon Eastern Time. If for any reason I cannot post at that time, I will let you know through that community type of tab, and you can find it there. See you next time.